There was a few dubstep labels about at the time, but none of them were particularly interested in us or what we were doing. And we thought, like, let's start our own label.
I think fundamentally what we could probably all agree with is that there shouldn't be a norm of how to sell yourself on social media.
As the years go by, less and less people in the room know the music now.
That ultimately what Swan did is a sign that there is good in the world, and I think that's like one of the single greatest moves in music history.
Happening. I rapidly walked home.
Sorry about that, mate.
That's all right. Actually, I was on the way home anyway. I just walked a lot faster.
Yeah, it's always funny because I've been doing these for like 5 years now, and when I get asked to do interviews or like podcasts or anything, you kind of you have it in your calendar and you kind of forget, and you're like, oh fuck, I've got to do that. And then, but it's different for me being on the other end of the camera. It's like, guys, where the fuck is everyone? Like, come on, let's get there on time. But
yeah,
boys, thanks for coming on. I really wanted to get you both on because I've always looked from afar. We live in very different worlds with what we do genre-wise, but I believe our paths have crossed a couple of times at some point, probably at some festival over the times. But I think like you've just brought out a new album, first like collab album. So I wanted to get into the crux of that, but also what you guys have been doing in bass music for the last God knows how many years has been pretty interesting. And also two guys coming from the UK, which I don't know because I'm not in this in your scene, but does bass, the genre of music that you're doing, does it have a big following in the UK now?
I mean, dubstep specifically obviously originated in London, but Americans almost immediately kind of took it on as their thing, and it very quickly petered off in the UK. Yeah, but it does feel like it's coming back. There's always been a group of people in the UK listening to it. But, it very much became like an American thing. Yeah, I noticed recently that there are very few British people left. I think there's a few more coming in now, but there was a period where there was about 4 or 5 of us British producers left in the dubstep scene.
Yeah, because you lost a lot of them to house as well.
I mean, a lot of people kind of jumped ship from dubstep once it kind of went off the boil in the UK. I think a lot of producers from the UK didn't necessarily want to become like an American act in a way. Like they didn't want to jump ship to America. So they ended up sort of changing genre.
I think there's some kind of... There's an issue with presentation in the UK. There's like anytime I play a show here, like we literally just did our album launch last week, and it was like packed room, 360 set. It was amazing, really good. And it's like that's kind of my experience really. Anytime I play in the UK or Europe in general, but dubstep doesn't really get picked for a lot of the festivals, like the kind of the sort of the main social, it's like it's its own little niche thing now, whereas it doesn't really permeate into the main social construct of dance music in general. It's like its own thing, and that it will happen again. It's kind of like drum and bass, right? Like drum and bass right now is a completely socially acceptable form of dance music, but for sometimes, even going back 5 or 6 years, it was his own little bubble where you either had to be into drum and bass, and if you were, you get to go out and hear it. If you're not, you don't hear it anywhere, kind of thing.
Yeah. What do you think that's about? It's such a British thing, and it's the same in house. It's like, unless you're like in the cool kids section, like I never play her. I bet I may play in the UK twice a year max, but it's like, unless you're in that cool kid scene.
Yeah, the UK is quite fickle. It's like the UK, it feels they're always on to the next thing. They're always like, okay, what's cool now? What's cool now? Especially London.
I think that's more London. Yeah. I remember we were like cool in London for like 6 months. But then I maintained touring across the UK for many years. Like dubstep had was very much dying off in the UK, but we were still doing. It was like me and Skrillex were like the last guys that were managing to do tours. But we'd always like sell out, Norwich and Manchester and Leeds and everywhere. But London would be the hardest one to do. London's like such a fickle place where they're just like they want it to be, hip and happening. But that used to be dictated by fuck knows what. But now it's dictated by social media. And I feel like it's kind of thrown it all out of whack, because now it's like there's no scene focus so much anymore. The scenes are kind of focused online.
Yeah.
And it's like the communities are sort of all based online, and then you've got local communities, but the way that London works, it doesn't feel like anything's popular here at the moment.
Yeah, it's really weird, because I think what happened is we lost a lot of promoters, and like where it was promoters were driving the scene based on the communities that the promoters had built. Now it's literally just all artist led, and it's like if you can sell tickets in London, you can sell tickets in London, and then somebody's going to book you and you're worth this much money. And it's the scene's definitely changed, but I think
shout out to Sin London. Sin SYN, they're the ones. The past 3 shows I've done, and basically anything of any value, not value, like anything that's good in bass music in the UK, they're behind it. Basically,
really,
they did our party. They had G Jones and E-Prom the night after, and just like everything and like when Subtronics comes over, Sin London's there. It's like. Dubstep, bass music in general, they're just like the massive champions of it. As promoters, it's exactly what you're talking about. They've developed a community and they've developed a fan base for them and the thing, so that people just go to their nights because they're like, I like this thing and I identify. So I think that fan base is there for bass music and for dubstep. Like it does exist. The people are there. There's just
100%.
There's no formulation of it. What's it called when like people form a union?
The dubstep union in England. That's what needs to happen. No, but I totally agree, because
organized is the word I'm thinking of. It's like with Sin London, right? You've got an organized effort to focus on this specific thing, and like what you're saying, when all the promoters have started to disappear, that organized effort for a sound has been dismantled, and now it's just lots of organized efforts for single artists. And the kind of, if that feels like it's kind of killed the English music scene.
100%. Not just in dubstep or anything, like in multiple things. I think it's definitely changed. I think also like when you have promoters pushing specific genres, like you actually gain new fans as an artist. Like they're not just coming to see Dr. P and Flux Pavilion just because of they know who you are. They're going to the night to actually experience people that they may not have heard before, if you know what I mean. And like especially nowadays, the younger generations, like you guys have been around for years. Like they might know your records, they might not, right? We've got to go into every club going, some of these people might not know who we are. Like we have to win them over. And I think
we experience that more and more. Like it used to be kind of easy. You go in, everyone in the room knows your music. People sing along to every song. But as the years go by and the fans are aging out of it a little bit, less and less people in the room know the music now.
Yeah.
You really have to work harder to kind of win the crowd over now.
How does that feel?
Well, that was the point of this album. For me, was I started making loads of kind of, I don't know, expressive musical stuff, not dubstep anymore. I was just making a variety of things. Shaun was making more headbang kind of dubstep, really aggressive stuff. And it's like if you plonk a bass music fan into the world right now with no understanding of anything, and they listened to me and listened to Shaun, they're not gonna know who we are really, because who we are is what we did 15 years ago, and we kind of got a bit bored of that and ended up going off in different directions because that's what creatives do.
Yeah.
So I was just like, oh, if someone was just without any prior knowledge was just to listen to my work, they don't know what Flux Pavilion is. And I feel like it's a similar thing with Dr. P. And it's like it's not like we need to educate people, but just kind of like we need to make sure that we're keeping our finger on the pulse of our original intention. Otherwise, our original intention will just be lost in time, because it's fun going off and trying something new, but like we've got to kind of come back home for the new generation. Otherwise, that original kind of concept of what our act is won't exist anymore.
We really wanted to tell the story. That the album basically became about telling our story, where we came from and who we are, and not just telling the story to new fans, but telling that story to existing fans as well, because we've never really, we've never talked about the fact that we were friends when we were kids and things like that. So doing this album has really given us a chance to kind of tell that story about being in a band when we were teenagers and that sort of thing. And that the album basically became all about rediscovering where we came from and trying to turn that into a sort of a package that people can actually understand and consume.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. I think also going back to what you were saying, Josh, on kind of not educating but bringing the new you guys to now, it's so hard with the likes of Spotify, where your top streamed records are always at the top of your artist profile, right? So when somebody finds you as an artist, they don't necessarily find your new music, they find what was written 13 years ago. And I think that's kind of makes it even harder nowadays to actually kind of gain newer fans to your newer stuff, because people are still expecting the old stuff because that's all they still get sent, right? It's that did you ever feel that was an issue?
I mean, I quite like the way Spotify works, with things like Release Radar and the radio on there. I think Spotify actually does quite a good job of feeding people your new music, a blend of new and old. I think I actually found it harder, back in the day when you discovered an artist that you liked, it was quite difficult to find either their back catalogue or their new stuff. It just kind of depended what was on the shelves. So it's quite nice now. You discover an artist you like, and you've got every single thing they've ever released in date order. I find it much better for in terms of like becoming a fan of somebody. Like I've become a fan of many more artists now.
Really, just
as a result of streaming.
Dig deep into it. Makes sense. I think the thing I struggle with the most is that your top streamed record is number one on your top 10, and I think for me, like that, I've been hooting and hollering about this for a while. I think that should be your newest release, or there should be a button that you literally click, really new or old, top streamed or new, because I think so many people want to hear new stuff from you, but they go into your profile, they have to go dig it down below, and obviously we all know how to do that, but like, I just think
the medium stuff that gets lost.
Yeah.
Oftentimes the newest thing is in the top 10 because it's getting played, and the biggest old tracks are in there. But it's the ones from like a year ago that you really like, that you wish people could listen to, but they just get buried.
I think that's what albums are for me.
Yeah.
I think that's what albums and EPs. That's why the collection, to me, is still really, really important, because we're in obviously a single culture, and it works. It has benefits, I guess. I don't really know what the benefits of single culture are, but it seems to make sense when it happens. But for me, as an artist, I want to like collect my art and have it be a statement and then be collected. Like I like the idea of in 50 years, on my deathbed, I can look through my discography and see the eras and see all the stuff that I've done, and have it be quite holistic. And like, I really, really don't like the idea of stuff just getting missed. And like little moments that I had that was actually maybe a really cool track for a couple of years and loads of people were playing it, but it was just a single and that's it. It's just kind of lost in time.
Yeah.
I think that's why I will always write albums, because I think people will always listen to an album, and you don't have to worry so much about the what we're talking about, your most played and all of these playlists and stuff, because people can and will just go put on an album and listen to all of it. It's obviously not quite as potent as it used to be, but just the act of collecting it and having it in a kind of a more accessible place than someone having to scroll down your feed of singles just to find a song.
No, I agree, and I think also it's kind of a timestamp of where you were at that time as an artist. I think albums, we all have artists that we love and adore, and their albums are all different throughout the years, right? Josh, you've done, please tell me if I'm wrong, 3 albums. 2015 Tesla, 2013 Blow the Roof, and then WAV 2021.
And the one that we just released.
And the one you've just released, both of you.
So 4 in total. Yeah, Blow the Roof wasn't an album.
Oh, wasn't it?
It was an 8-track EP. And then there were 2 singles that we just put out that Atlantic were like, oh, we're just going to turn this into an album. And I'm like, that to me is one of the greatest things that a major label has ever done, in my opinion, is collecting that into an album, because I'm like, because that would be lost. I feel like that EP would be quite lost if it wasn't an album, but it actually is.
Yeah, now. It sits there, right? And not many people do albums generally, so it's like it does sit there. And Shaun, you've done one before, which was probably the best album name ever.
Well, yeah, that was supposed to be an EP as well, but I think I did so many tracks it tipped over into album territory. But we didn't really treat it like an album. We didn't promote it like an album. It was just a long EP, really.
So this is technically your first album.
Yeah, I mean, I never really intended to ever do an album. I was never really an album artist. I felt like...
Why is that?
I don't know. I just felt that singles worked for me.
Yeah.
I work quite slowly on music. So the idea of doing like 15 songs at the same time, it felt like I would just never achieve that.
Yeah.
But luckily Josh works incredibly quickly. So between us, it really, we managed to make it work. But yeah, on my own, I don't think I ever could write an album like that.
How was that process for you guys? Because I released my first album last year, and I kind of gave myself a time span of like a year to write it and then get it finished. Pretty much like April to April, I gave myself. Like, was there any like rules that you kind of guys set before putting an album together?
I very much let Josh take the lead, because obviously he's written multiple albums, and he very much had the kind of mindset of like compartmentalizing. You come up with ideas, then you develop them, then you finish them.
And yeah, it's pretty much just me maintaining pressure, I think. Just being like, right, this is what we've got to do. Sean, we've got to write 50 sketches. We've only done 35. Write more. Like in a more elongated way. And then it was like, right, stop writing. We have to pick the sketches. We've got to start doing this now. And I've got quite an explosive ADHD, I suppose. So it's like, that's my life. My life is constantly on a treadmill of just like varying pressures of just like, right, I've got to get this done, It means I'm really productive. Obviously, it's quite tiring and
does it stress you out?
Yeah, of course. It requires management. I mean, I go fishing a lot. I smoke cigars every day. I do things to help me manage it. But yeah, it's tiring.
Yeah.
And I think it actually was really helpful for me to embark upon that process with Shaun, because it's like the pressure was shared and I could still please this kind of like fundamental desire to be like, cool, let's do stuff. Yeah. And I could do that by just texting Shaun and say, hey, can you do this? Yeah. And he'd say yes. And I'd be like, yes, I've achieved something. And I think that meant that the fun bit was more accessible because there was less, because if anything, I was just like, you know what, I don't know what to do with this track. I'm stuck. I could just pass it over to Shaun and say, "Oh, can you work on these ones specifically?" So in my process, where I'm like, I want to work on this, I'm going to work on this, I'm going to do this. Any blockages, I could pass over to Shaun, and I assumed that was the same for Shaun. That when I would single out tracks, he'd just then focus on those ones and just kind of wait for me to be putting them on the block to be worked on, which I guess makes it easier for Shaun to not have to make so many decisions and can just work more freely. That's what I assumed from my side.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not very good at managing my time and deciding what to work on. I have a tendency to get in the studio and work on the wrong thing all day. So it was quite nice, actually, to be told what to do.
Whipped into shape.
Yeah, normally I don't get that. Normally there's no one dictating what I do. Apparently I work better when I'm given a list of tasks to achieve.
How long was the whole process?
I think it's about 18 months or so.
That's what we worked out from first idea. It was very much like, it was just like, we need to do some more work, you know, like I realized what I was saying earlier, that people don't really know what Flux Pavilion Dr. P is.
Yeah.
Like they only know who we are now as we present ourselves. And it's like, we need to do some more work together to just show everyone what's going on. And yeah, that was about 18 months ago when I was like, let's do some stuff. And I think through the first 6 months, that's where we worked out that we needed to actually do the album to work out who the fuck we are. Like I was just like, what is Dr. P and Flux Pavilion if we're going to write an album presenting there? And I think that was the first kind of 6 months, was just a lot of hypothetical kind of conceptual thought. And then I think from when it really started to feel dialed in and we knew what we were doing, I'd say about a year of kind of solid work to
it was only really around October last year when we really knuckled down and started really getting things finished.
Yeah, because Josh, I think I messaged you. I'm trying to find when I messaged you. It was like January this year, and you were like just trying to get this album finished. So it was like crunch time, right?
We handed the album in 2 weeks before release.
Wow.
Yeah. I think something like that. Yeah, like maybe 3 weeks before release.
We were already promoting it, and we hadn't even handed it in yet.
Yeah, the first 4 singles. I think, how many singles did we do? 7. I think the first 4 singles had come out because we were doing a single every week. And yeah, we still had half the album to finish, basically.
Single every week. Like, how does that work? Because that's a lot.
That's actually a great suggestion. I think it was Andy, our label manager, who suggested that. And I thought it was kind of a genius idea because it really snowballed the momentum for the album.
Because they're not really singles. It was just like the simplistic way to think about it is a social media post every week, right? Yeah. An Instagram carousel, 1 per week for 7 weeks with something new to do. Like that's what it felt like to me, rather than these are the singles. And they literally were the first 7 songs we finished.
Yeah.
Like there was no plan for this is how we have to sonically tell the story, because the album itself is so schizophrenic and chaotic that it's like we can
this morning.
We just pick the 7 most finished songs and they're the singles, that'll do.
Was there ever a point when before handing it in of track selection? Because when I did mine, it took me quite a while to track select, and then I'd get my team involved of what's your thoughts of how this flows, and then I'd send it to friends and everything like that. Was there any of that, or was it fucking just put it out?
We had a couple of conversations, but we didn't overthink it too much.
Yeah,
because in terms of track,
the first singles were really just about building that momentum and giving people a taster of what was coming. So. Yeah, I think we just had one conversation and picked what we thought would work.
We actually we booked a studio and had management and label there and played them all the sketches. And it kind of really didn't matter what they said. but it's just, you know, when you have another presence in the room, it helps you know what you think about them. And I think, I say it doesn't matter, but they're our partners and brothers, you know, like we've been working with these people for 15 years. Our management is Dr. P and Flux Pavilion as much as we are. And our agent, like the whole kind of team, that's the way we kind of view it all. So I say it didn't matter. Of course it did, but it's more like, I think the album track choice was kind of like a foregone conclusion. I think me and Shaun both knew pretty much what we wanted it to be before we walked into that room. We just needed the words to be said out loud.
Yeah.
And
what were those words?
Just play a track and then look Shaun, and Shaun's like, not that one. Basically, I think that's just making it real. So we're like, right, we need to make this decision now. This decision has to be made. What tracks? Because we had like 25 ideas, I think, in total, maybe more.
Yeah, something like that.
25 complete records.
Nah, not quite.
Yeah.
They were sort of like, I can't remember exact specific what stage they were. I think they were all full demos.
80% needed.
I have a specific naming convention where you've got a sketch, then a demo, then a full demo, and then you enter into the percentage system, which normally starts around 95%. And then you enter into the master number, master 1, master 2, master 3, master 4.
So you don't go into the mix down. So you don't have mix down versions and then masters.
No. I mean, the mix and master kind of all goes in hand for me. But my favourite thing about the percentage system was every time it gets a little bit further, it was like 99.99, 99.999, and a different 9 gets added on.
Yeah, until I can finally say that it's a master. But this is all... So I'm very feelings-based.
Okay.
That was a big part of the process, is where Shaun would work on the song, and I'd be like, no, feels wrong. You've fucked it, basically. And she was like, what? Or literally all I did was slightly change the side chain. And I'm like, well, apparently that was what the whole song was based on. And now you've ruined it. And I can never say exactly why. It's like, oh, you know, the side chain's wrong. All I know is when I close my eyes and I listen to it, my gut is like, nah, this doesn't feel right. Something's wrong here. It's like you walk into a room, you're like, nah, something's off.
Yeah.
Something's off with this. And that's how I make nearly all of my decisions.
That's interesting.
Is based on that. It's quite hard to do when I know something's wrong and I don't know what's wrong.
Let's dig deeper into that. You've had a shit day, right? Does that affect the decision on the day of listening to music? Because I don't know, there's a copious amount. We've all been there, right? Where we've sent somebody the record, they're like, yeah, I'm not really into it. They hear it live and they're like, what the fuck is this record? Dude, I sent this to you 6 months ago and you didn't like it. Like, is there like when you wake up, you have an issue with your family or you're having someone's pissed you off? Like, does that change your decision on a feeling of a record?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's very, very hard for me to say that. Obviously, what you say is completely correct. Of course it does.
Yeah.
But that complicates the process. Whereas for me, this process is simply, is this good or is this bad? And I trust my gut to make that decision. There is obviously complexities to it. Yeah. Like I will often listen to a song on multiple different speaker setups and multiple different times. So another thing is that I listen to my music all the time. Pretty much nearly any spare moment, I'm checking ideas. I've got like 40 songs that I'm working on. I'm always just there listening to them and seeing how they feel. So it's not so much like one listen where I'm like, nope, this is wrong. Sometimes my reaction is so visceral that I can just be like, no, this is wrong. I know that for a fact straight away on any speaker system. Sometimes it is more subtle where I'm like, oh, I don't know, something feels a bit off. And then I listen to it on my phone and I'm like, you know what, it's fine kind of thing. So it is complex, but like, oh, have I had a cup of tea? Have I eaten? That's too many complexities.
It's too deep.
Because at the end of the day, right, by by including all of that kind of stuff, what you're trying to do is you're trying to manage it so that you can work optimally. Yeah. Your brain's getting involved and being like, oh, I need to be in the right space, in the right thing, and this has to be right, and this has to be right. And ultimately what you're doing is you're making the brain make the decisions, whereas what I'm talking about is letting the gut make the decision. Yeah. It shouldn't matter where you are, what's happening. Just feel it. Do you feel it? Yeah, cool. And just go with that, and just try and keep it simple by just running your life based on the feelings that you're having. And then for me personally, it's kind of all worked out.
That's like, I really like that. I've never really heard that concept, because I think for me, like, you hear it classic, right? You hear like the artist that's like has to be like depressed or has to be going through a rough time to write music. Like, I'm completely the opposite. If I have to be in like the best possible mental mood to come into the studio and write music, if somebody's pissed me off or like something's on my mind and I come into the studio, I can't write for some reason. I don't know.
I'm the same. I have to be like free from any concerns to be able to work on music. Otherwise, I just can't focus on the music.
Yes. How was it with both of you guys then? Were you ever in the room together like writing, or was it always like
we did a couple of sessions? I think maybe we did like 3 or 4 sessions together, but like 90% of it was separate. I mean, I prefer working separately. Sometimes when we're in the room together, I feel like we just end up talking the whole time. Much more productive when I'm in the room on my own.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
We're about to go on tour together. Yeah, and part of that is we've decided that we're going to not talk. We're going to try and hang out and watch movies and play games and do mindful things like go for walks and stuff like that. But endlessly talking about writing music, it can be rewarding in that it helps you kind of work stuff out sometimes, but I just feel like it's not meant to be talked about and discussed. You know, it's a feeling thing. Again, I guess going back to that it's like there's only so much you can work out. You can work out a bit of an action plan and maybe kind of both get on the same page, but ultimately just constantly going on and on about the music and the scene and what we need to do and this is what we've got to do, like that is, I think it's bringing the wrong energy into the picture.
I think a lot of it is like there's nothing you can do about it. Like the scene is the scene, the industry is the industry. Like you can affect your like immediate world, like which is literally what you do when you wake up and how you feel, but like realistically you can't change anything.
No, you can't talk your way into making a good song.
You just like changing how the scene responds to you, or if a record's not doing well or a show's not selling, there's nothing you can do about it.
No, sometimes it's good to talk about certain things, like you can learn a lot from talking to other people, but yeah, sometimes it feels like we just talk and talk and talk for hours and you just end up getting kind of stressed out by it, I find.
In your own head about it, yeah.
It's too cerebral. It's just like, it's good you got to get out of the brain. Like, the brain's just always up to no good.
It's fucking weird, isn't it? It's really weird. But I guess you guys have known each other for a very, very long time before music was even a thing, right?
Not quite that long ago. I mean, that's got to be going back a few million years, hasn't it? Yeah, we actually met because of music, really, even though we were only young.
Josh, our first friendship was in a band, basically.
Yeah, we kind of met because we were the two people that we knew who were into music, so we just kind of ended up gravitating towards each other, I think.
So yeah, music's always been a thing, but it was like I was, I think, 12 or 13.
Okay.
When we made that band, Shaun would have been 15 or 16.
Yeah.
And obviously it was maybe 8 years after that Flux and Dr. P kind of started. So yeah, it was a good long while of just, just friendship before it kind of became serious. And even saying that, I don't think Flux and Dr. P became serious until about 5 years in.
Okay.
You know, I think that was kind of one of the beauties of our earlier work, is that it was just so fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's what this, again, the new album is about. That it's about that kind of process and how important that kind of feeling is to music. And I think maybe dubstep specifically, that kind of sense of fun and a kind of a sense of abandon, of being like, I don't know, this song's called Hot Piss, who gives a fuck? Like that to me is the spirit of who we are. And I'm glad that we've managed to sort of capture that in an album.
No, I love it. And I think there is something about both of your relationships of being friends for so long. Also, Circus Records, you've been running that for a long time together, right? Like, I don't quote me on this, but on the Spotify playlist, there's 1,780 records, which is a fair amount of releases for a record label in just generally. Like, how did that kind of journey start with you guys of, okay, we want to, and also kind of full circle now of like releasing the album on the label?
Yeah, well, I was originally signed to a label called Maximum Boost under a different name. I was called Picto back then.
Yeah.
And it was all drum and bass. That label was run by a guy called DJ Swan-e.
Mm-hmm.
And me and him used to sit there talking about music all the time, endlessly, just like I always do with everyone. And we were talking about dubstep and how it was growing and growing. And I happened to mention that I knew this guy called Josh who was making dubstep. And Swan said, "Oh, bring him down. Let's have a listen to his music." So I brought Josh along to a studio session one day, and all three of us sat there talking about music, talking about dubstep and things, and we thought, like, let's start our own label.
Yeah,
you know, like, why not? There was a few dubstep labels about at the time, but none of them were particularly interested in us or what we were doing. And so we thought, you know, Swan-e had the expertise and the experience, and he was interested in starting a new label, and he wanted to do it as partners rather than him starting it on his own and signing us to it. Which, in hindsight, I don't know why he did that, because we were just like a couple of kids, basically. But I guess he could.
He did it because he's a very great man.
He's a very forward-thinking guy. Definitely, he must have been able to see something that we couldn't foresee. But yeah, so we started this label together. Just started it from the ground up. Just started designing logos myself, and we just started DMing people on MySpace and signing tunes off their MySpaces, and it was all very much just like make it up as we go along in the beginning.
Spitting sawdust.
Yeah.
Another thing as well. This might be not to overshare. I don't know how much of our business that we talk about really, but there was at the same time, basically when things started blowing up, Swan started a management company and a publishing company and an agency and all of these things, and made us partners in all of it. So we had a slice of everything. And I think that's like one of the single greatest moves in music history in terms of being a good person.
Yeah.
You never hear these stories of people doing genuinely nice and positive things.
Yeah.
But like, we're just literally a couple of 20-year-olds, and he was like, right, here it is. You're now going to own, you're going to come in at everything. And
I love that.
And we're all going to be a part of it. And they're the same guys that talk about with the label and stuff. And so, I say we're family. But yeah, I don't think we won't really talk about it that much, because obviously it's just business is business. But I think as a story in the music industry, you hear a lot of bad stories about people getting fucked over and attached to deals that they feel stuck in and stuff. But yeah, that ultimately what Swan did is a sign that there is good in the world. That's honestly what I take from it. I'm just like, when I really think about it, I'm like, holy shit, anyone could have just completely taken advantage of anyone in dubstep.
Yeah.
And we were so fortunate to come across him, and then Andrew, who became our label manager, who are just like really honest, great people who love music and care about their friends and their family.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, we've really found some good ones here. And I think that's the longevity of the label, is the people. And because the people that those guys attract are also good people.
Yeah.
There's no, anytime we've had any kind of snakes in the grass, they kind of get ejected quite quickly, because we're like, nah, you don't resonate with us, because we're just a bunch of people that love music. You know, we love our friends, we love our family, and we just want to do good for each other, kind of thing. And I think that's
so is your management the same crew then?
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah. We've kind of tried different stuff over the years. We've tried moving to different labels, different agencies, things like that, and we always just end up coming back. It's better to just do everything in house. We find it's just the people that you're close to care so much more than just signing on with like a random agent.
Yeah,
I mean, our agents in America, we've been with the same couple of agents pretty much the whole time.
Who are you with?
I mean, they're basically borderline family at this point as well.
Who are you with there?
Kevin Gimbel,
and Steve Gordon. With the Steve has started us off, but yeah, like those guys. Again, it's like I don't know. People have said over the years, they're like, "Oh, there's a conflict of interest here." You know, having the same people have all this stuff, and I'd be like, "Oh, is there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, there's potential for maybe some manipulation, but you have to be a narcissist and a horrible person." And it's just like, so I'd look at it and be like, "Oh yeah, there's potential for something to be weird about this," but again, going into the gut thing, it's just like, nah, these are good people, you know, we're good people, we're all friends. And it's just like, and you just know that. You just kind of, that feeling.
I feel like it's more lucrative to be friends than it is for them to try and screw us. If anyone was going to screw anyone, it would have happened right at the very beginning.
Yeah.
You can't be a business partner with someone this long and then screw them.
No, not at all. And I think also what you're really talking about is a collective, right? And I think it's a collective of people that all bring something different to the table, and then it makes it work. And I talk about this with my mates like on a regular basis of how important I think collectives in music are, and there's just not many of them. There's really not many.
To find the right people, I think it's just really down to pure luck whether you end up with the right people or not. I think we were just very, very lucky.
Yeah, so that's like Circus is, there's an ethos to it and stuff, which, we could say, oh, we have this really great way of we approach music and stuff, but I think really it's just like a collective, like you say. It's the people that have made the company kind of maintain, because I think ultimately we all just care about the music, really. And I just think that's actually annoyingly rare enough that it has a gravity.
Yeah, especially nowadays, definitely. It's strange. How have you found the industry changing? You guys have been doing it for years, but how have you found the change of the industry over the years? How have you kind of evolved with it, and how have you not?
I think that streaming has obviously been the biggest shift. Like when we started, we were selling physical vinyls and CDs.
Yeah.
So going to streaming was kind of the biggest change. I mean, I guess recently there's been a big shift towards like TikTok being the biggest discovery platform.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like to a certain degree we're kind of immune from that. You know, I think pop stars probably have to worry about that stuff a little bit more than we do. Because it's dance music, people just kind of seek it out to a certain degree. And I think because we were lucky enough to kind of blow up at a time before social media, to a certain degree, we're immune from the social media sort of, like, you absolutely have to do social media now, but we're kind of immune from having to force ourselves to try and become influencers.
The way I look at that is IP. We developed an IP for ourselves in a space with less noise. Like Star Wars, you know, there's so many other sci-fi IPs, universes that could be built, but Star Wars is, you know, it's maintained and is just such an iconic thing, and it's because it was the first one. And now it's really hard to make an IP because Star Wars exists. So it's hard to make a sci-fi IP because there's always this one to compare it to. Whereas when we started, there was nothing to compare us to. So we managed to have that space to solidify our brands and the concept of Flux Pavilion and Dr. P, so that now generally in dubstep, you can say Flux Pavilion and people were like, yeah, acceptable. That's accepted, an acceptable name in dubstep. That's the hardest thing to get. That's what people are constantly trying to get, is just that kind of form of acceptance. It's kind of like the way I think about it is like a legitimacy, a legitimization. Like we managed to legitimize ourselves. I think me in part, fortunately, was legitimized by Kanye and Jay-Z when they sampled me, because they're these legitimate, you know, they have this IP, this brand identity, and they're like a legitimate pop star, superstar. And so when they gave me the nod, it was like, oh, okay, Flux is a real one then.
He's in.
And I feel like that's what everyone's fighting for, is that kind of that sense of legitimacy, so they can just be viewed as an actual act, not a kid in their bedroom, not a TikTok person, but a musical act. And I think that's becoming harder and harder to develop, because it's like loads of the IPs have already been snatched up,
taken. Yeah. What do you think that takes nowadays for new artists that are listening to this now? What does it take to kind of to grow that?
I wish I knew. It's like the hardest thing in the world. I honestly don't think anyone knows. I think that, you know, the major record companies are sitting there asking themselves that question in big boardrooms.
They're plowing loads of money into TikTok. People being like, oh, is this it? But
I don't even know if anyone's trying to do that anymore. I feel like the game has changed now. I think people are trying to build an audience on social media and then finding a way to make their music relate into that audience in some way. I don't even know if people are trying to become like rock stars anymore.
I think that's kind of what I'm talking about, though, with the legitimacy. It's just another way of doing it. It's like you build up an audience, and then I guess for me the concept of an IP is just like a sound that's acceptably yours. Which I think that's kind of still what everyone's thriving to do, is so that they can, you just got your own little place in the scene, in the community that's yours. But I feel like people are trying to get that from, I'm not really thinking about dance music, I'm more thinking about like vocalists. There's a lot of rappers and singers who are coming through social media and they're sort of kind of developing a thing. And I think that's the same. It's
all about the gimmick, hasn't it? Especially through TikTok. It's like you've got to have some hook to get people in the first few seconds. So a lot of people come up with some little gimmick to try and catch people's attention. But then it's like the IP, like Josh is saying, becomes the gimmick. That's what you really own.
Yeah.
And then it's how long can you keep that going?
And what happens when you get to like your 50s?
So that's the same for us.
I know,
it's exactly the same for us. It's like, surely it's a bit less gimmicky, but it kind of is. I mean, my gimmick is sawtooth chords, right? Like, if you're going to boil
it... Is that a gimmick, though? Because I disagree with you on that. I don't think that's a gimmick.
But then what I'm saying is, what is a gimmick? What is the difference between these things? Between this person that, you know, they dress up as a doll and then they play their music and it's a thing that they do. Like, is that not their art in the same way of my drum choice or my chord choice?
I guess it depends on the reasoning. If they're doing it just to get people's attention on TikTok, then it's not quite as as much meaning as your chords do.
Was I not just trying to get people's attention on the dance floor, though?
I hear what you're both saying, but I guess my question is okay, let's use Dead Mouse for example. Let's take all of us out of this. If Dead Mouse carried on wearing the mouse head, right? I know he's still massive, but if he carried on with that, I know he still does, but he takes it off now and again. If you didn't know who was underneath it, do you think he'd be bigger than what he is? Because he carried on with that gimmick. That is a gimmick, in my opinion.
I think that's a good gimmick to start with, but his music is so legitimately good.
So good.
It was enough to keep it going without the mouse head.
Yeah.
So that's
just the mouse head, he would have come and gone.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I guess, fundamentally the key.
Just make great fucking music.
Yeah, write good music kind of thing. But so I guess, yeah, if you say, oh, how do people build a good IP? Just write good work, make good stuff. But what I'm saying is I don't think it's necessary to immediately discount the gimmicky nature of social media, because I think there is artistic value and merit in it too. It's not just like, I think it's too easy to be like, oh yeah, no one cares about music anymore. They're all just trying to find their gimmick. And I'm like, there are some people that I understand their music better because of how they present it on social media. I connect with it in a different way because of that presentation. And it's helping me develop an understanding of who they are as an artist, like visually. And it's like, there's more to it. I don't know.
I think it's also it's about getting to know the actual artist more so nowadays, which social media allows you. It's so easy to do that now on social media as an artist, of like presenting yourself and deciding how you present yourself. Like, look at what Bauer's doing at the moment with his his things. It's like, I've known Bauer's music for years. Did I know him personally? No. Like, we live in different worlds, right? But now, like, I'm obsessed with his videos, right? And like, they're really fucking great. And I think that I would never have been able to have come across him, for example, if that wasn't how he presented himself. And I think that is also the hard thing now, is as an artist, is how do you present yourself to the world on social media? Because you're the one that's selling the tickets. It's not promoters selling the tickets now. You're the one that's selling the tickets. You're the one that's promoting your music. It's no one else now. It's just all you, which there's pros and cons to that, right?
I think fundamentally what we could probably all agree with is that there shouldn't be a norm of how to sell yourself on social media. That's kind of the problem. It's not the fact that people do sell themselves on social media. It's not the fact that people do have gimmicks or visual representations of their work. It's the fact that when something does work, everyone else thinks, oh, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's fucked. And I guess that in the same way as me being like, oh, my chord choices and my sound choices, like, that's cool and natural. But it's like, if I was making, like Shaun said, if I was making those choices because I thought that's what was going to be popular, that's a problem. And I feel like it does translate from the actual art itself and the way that you present the art. It's all encompassing, and you just got to kind of like ask who are you and how do you want to present your work, forgetting what everyone else does, which can be really difficult. But yeah,
really difficult.
I think that's what I don't like about social media, is how trends emerge, and then all of a sudden everyone's just doing the same thing over and over again.
Is that the same in dubstep, in bass music? Is it the same? Because it's so relevant in house music. Like, one person makes a massive record, and then everyone is making the same record over and over again for a period of time, and then it's on to the next. Is it similar with your scene?
I definitely recognise that more in drum and bass.
Okay.
Because I have a drum and bass act as well.
Yeah.
I recognise that a lot more in drum and bass. Dubstep, I don't think it happens quite so much. It feels like dubstep has their own little thing that they do.
Dubstep's currently immune because it's not that popular.
Yeah.
Well, it's like there's popularity and then there's social involvement. It's like it's not. a part of the picture of society.
Yeah.
Normal people aren't just walking around being like, oh yeah, this new dubstep record. It's not a part of their world, and it has been, and it will be again, because it's all cyclical. But it's kind of like, it's a nice time for the genre to have that space, because then the sound can sort of like develop unmolested.
Yeah. Unmolested. That's so good.
Which drum and bass is currently being molested.
Yeah, drum and bass is getting fucked right now. It is hilarious. Like, also UK Garage at this moment in time it's back, and it will last probably 10 minutes and it will go back under the bridge. But I think that is also the amazing thing, that scenes can turn around very quickly now with one record. Like look, let's be honest, like, look at the drum and bass side and look what Chase and Status have done to drum and bass again, right? It's now back on the scene, not just because of them, but they putting out a big record and look where it's at. And
very specifically, not just because of them, because Boo made that record, and he was on it. So it's love to Will and Saul. Chase and Status they're very, very good. But to me, I was like, yes, Boo. He was one of my faves. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, he's done it. He's made this fucking huge record. It's number one. It's going to be Chase and Status and Boo everywhere. And then all of a sudden it's just like, nope, that's a Chase and Status record. I'm like, God fucking damn it. I found that really frustrating.
That is the really disturbing thing about all things music, right? The majority of the people at the top aren't even writing the music.
Oh, well, like what I'm talking about there, I don't think that was anyone's choice. That sometimes that's just how things go. People latch onto certain things. They latched onto Chase and Status because it was the already formulated IP.
Yeah,
it's kind of
like
what
you're saying. It's a familiar name. People know.
It's a familiar name. It's already there. It's easy to kind of go with.
Yeah,
and be like, because they'd already done it.
Was Boo on the actual record as a feature though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying that he secretly wrote it. Yeah, his name's on the track.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's
It reminds me of when we did Superbad. We did this track called Superbad, like around sort of 2011, something like that.
Yeah.
And on the Radio 1 like song selector screen, you could only see Flux Pavilion.
Really?
The name wasn't long enough to say Flux Pavilion, Dr. P. I never said Dr. P, not once.
Yeah.
They used to play it every day.
I wasn't even aware of that.
Yeah, they used to say Flux Pavilion Superbad every single day they played it. Used to drive me mad.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah,
you just throwing dartboards at his head.
And that's kind of what I say. It's not really anyone specific. So yeah, no shade to Chase and Status. I don't think they've specifically omitted that detail. I think just it's chance. You can be part of, like, there's a record called Savage. It's up there's had like 120 million streams. And I'm on it as a feature. I worked on the track, but when I play it, no one knows it. Like, there's no record. There's some people sing along because they know the song, but it's almost like there's no recognition that it's one of my songs.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just get the feeling that people are like, why are you playing this Weathen song? And I'm like, no, it's mine. I made this too. And it's like, and that's actually a feeling thing more than anything else, because it's not like specifically like I see myself being omitted, but I just don't feel like that's my track because it was a real big track for Weathen, and it was just like a massive single for him and Max, and it just felt like the natural order of things. It just fell in that direction that it became their track, and I just sort of like became a silent partner, even though my name's on it. And it's just the way it goes. I think you can talk about it forever. You can't really control stuff like that.
No, I write music for other people sometimes. And it's funny when you've written a record for somebody else and you then go to a club and you're like, somebody plays that record and you're like, why do I know this record? Like I've heard this somewhere, and then you like Shazam and you're like, oh, I actually wrote this. And I think that is it's the joys of music, right? And it goes back to what you were talking about going on tour, of like, you guys can have conversations over and over and over about the music industry but there's fuck all you can do about it. You can literally control what you put out and how you perform, and that's it, pretty much.
Yeah.
So when's this tour happening?
We start in June. We're away for most of June, and then we come home for a bit, and then we're away for like the whole of September and October.
Nice. Yes, I think we got 12 weeks in total.
Sick.
They keep trying to add stuff on to the end.
They did.
add another week onto the end.
This isn't probably the right place to talk about it, but because I haven't spoken to Shaun, yeah, we just literally added another week onto the tour yesterday.
I love it.
Yeah.
What are those? You're both going to play. You've obviously played a bunch of shows together over the years, but is there a different way you present the album tour in a sense of how you perform it, or is it just straight up DJ sets?
Yeah, we're still trying to kind of work that out at the moment, because we're going to be doing a longer set, and it's all going to be back to back. So it's not something we've really done that much in the past. So we're still kind of in the process of trying to figure out what that set even really looks like.
Yeah,
I think it's a lot of VIPs, and so basically we're trying to make sure that probably maybe not every song, because we've done quite a lot of songs over the years, but like the points of our career for both of us are all covered. So we pick 5 hits each effectively, and we're doing VIPs of them, and so that's covered. And then we play every track from the new album, so that's covered. And then there's actually not that much space left for other stuff. So it's kind of like it's going to be a full Dr. P and Flux Pavilion experience, kind of spanning the years, without being throwback. I think that's very important to me. I don't care about going back to an old time. We're not in that time. Yeah. We're in now. I want to make music that feels right now. But there was obviously some amazing ideas in all those tracks that resonated back then. So it's like that's the beauty of a VIP. So it can be like, right, how do I, recontextualize these ideas into a modern space? And that's what I'm most excited about. Obviously playing the album is going to be fun, but getting to deliver a Dr. P and Flux Pavilion experience, like it feels like Cirque du Soleil or something. Like we're kind of building this like a proper show. It's not just turning up and doing a DJ set. Like we're actually putting a lot of time and thought into making it a musical experience that no one else could possibly give you. And that, I think that's pretty exciting.
Sick. Is that all in the States?
The 12 weeks is in the States. Yeah. We did our album launch in London, and we're going to start booking some European shows end of the year and just going into next year. Yeah. Just kind of like get the main touring done in the States. It's kind of like we've got to let the album just bloom. Yeah. Because, we know now, it used to be release day was the end of the campaign, whereas release day is day one of the campaign now. And we're about to go on the campaign trail, and start selling the record and showing everyone what it's all about. That's kind of what the tour is.
Love that. Well, if I'm in town when you're doing one, I'd love to come. I'd love to check it out. I really would.
Where do you live?
I live in Somerset. But
okay, yeah.
I spend most of my life in America touring.
Yeah.
I'm similar to you guys. So whenever we're in the same city, let's definitely get together and
yeah, for sure.
Listen to some music. Nice one, guys. We've just smashed an hour. Thank you so much for coming on. Congrats on that album. Congrats on everything you've done. And yeah, just keep doing it. Keep doing it.
That's the plan.
Thanks so much for having us on.
And that's a wrap. Big love to the boys for coming on. Really enjoyed that one. Hope you all did. Please subscribe. Please give us some reviews. Please do what you want to do with it. Love you lots. Till next time.